All right, and we are live with Emily Westray. Welcome to Coffee and Conversations with Champions, because you are the champion. We have to give you a round of applause. Yay! Thank you so much for joining us today.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Oh, only a pleasure. So I think there might be a slight delay in the audio for those watching. So it's not that we're really thinking about what the other person's saying, but maybe we are. So there's a little bit of a delay. So Emily, can you tell us a little bit about who you are?
So I'm Emily. I just turned 27. I'm from Sheffield, England, and I am an IPF powerlifter. I I was competing in the under 57 category. I'm now in the under 52 kilo category. Yeah,
Why?
and well, we had two Team England lifters in the under 57 open category for the women. And the other girl, Sheena, who is amazing. I competed with her at All England's, which is where we qualified for the Commonwealth.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but she benches quite a bit more than me. I think her bench is like 95 kilos or something.
Okay, sure.
So then it was sort of put to me because I was weighing pretty light in that category anyway. If I would move down into the under 52 because we didn't have an open lifter in that category. So I was like, yeah, I'll give it a bash.
So,
So
so,
here we
so,
are.
so what you're saying is you lost the round of rock, paper, scissors. So,
As essentially, yeah.
yeah.
But I think it's worked out okay. It makes sense for Sheena to stay in that category, and for me to move down because I was weighing at like 54, 55. Like
Okay.
I was eating before weighing and weighing in under 57. So
Oh,
yeah.
I remember those days. Yep. So, okay. So now, how did you come to this awesome sport of powerlifting?
I think like a lot of people, like completely accidentally.
Mm.
I so I've always done sport. I started I used to be a diver and I started doing that when I was like 7 years old. And like the goal was to I was basically training for Team GB. The goal was like Commonwealth, Olympics, like that sort of stuff.
So, like
Um
five,
I
three,
can
five. Sorry to I have to ask because I like 3 meter, 5 meter at 7 years old. Well,
yeah, yeah. I wasn't allowed to dive off 10 meter at
mm.
that age because you're too small. It can really damage your wrists, and I actually have really weak wrists now.
I'm not allowed
So
to
the
dive
highest
off
you
the
go is
10 meter now. It's
it's
uh-uh.
scary. Like it's really
Uh-uh.
high.
There's a very big, sorry to speak on this, there's a very big difference. It's not like the difference between 3 and 5 is the difference between 5 and 10. No, ten's another
No,
planet. It's,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
it's crazy.
Okay.
I did like I have like jumped and dived off 10 meter before, but
Mm,
I wasn't allowed to compete on that board. I
okay.
remember I really wanted to be a springboard specialist, but my coaches wanted me to be a platform specialist because I could jump very high.
Mm,
So we disagreed on that. Um, but yeah, I actually used to dive at competitions with like Tom Daley, Jack Laffer, like
sure.
people that were at the Olympics this year.
Okay.
Which is really nice. Like every time the Olympics is on, I like watch those guys and I can like see them in the crowd and I'm like, oh, I kind of miss it.
Oh.
But yeah, so then I stopped diving when I was about 14. At the same time, I did gymnastics as well, although I never
Hmm.
competed in gymnastics. Um, and then, yeah, I stopped when I was about 14 when I got to secondary school and didn't really do much sport from there. I sort of like dropped off and was more focused on like, friends and boyfriends and like, doing social stuff because
Yeah.
when I was diving, like it was like essentially like you trained a minimum of 5 days a week or you were kicked off the team. And especially in competition season, it was like training before school, training after school. Like I had no time to like play out with my friends like all of my other friends did.
Because I mean
Um,
that was very much Olympics orientated, Commonwealth and then Olympics. There was a tremendous hunger to be on those teams.
yeah, definitely. Like, so I mean, I accidentally got into diving as well because I have ADHD. I was
Hmm.
like a really hyperactive child, so my mum made an effort to like try and put me into a lot of sport to try and like burn off my energy.
Mm.
So we got a leaflet when I left infant school and went up to primary school, like the summer in between that, for like all these sports camps that were on over the summer. So we just picked one and she put me into that. But we didn't know that basically from those summer camps, they were actually scouting the children that did the best and then recruited them for the team. So that's
Okay.
how I got onto the team. So yeah, it was quite, I mean, yeah, it was really intense. A lot of competing. So yeah, I just kind of got bored of it. And also, like, there was that more sinister side to things of like, you know, bullying and
Mm.
parent pushing very, very hard and that sort of stuff. Um, so yeah, eventually I just kind of got sick of that and needed a break from it. And then probably when I was about 18, 19, I started going to the gym again because my mental health was really bad. Um, so I decided to like try and do something about it. And I saw people lifting weights. Like I started just doing classes at a commercial gym, and I really enjoyed the ones where we were lifting weights and stuff like that. And I decided like, oh, like I really like this. Like I want to try and get stronger. Um, and then for like a few years after that, I was just like going to the gym with my friends and stuff, trying new things, like trying to bench press, trying to
Yeah.
deadlift, like that sort of stuff. Didn't really know anything about it. Um, and then our gym shut for refurbishment about 2 years ago in winter. And I was looking for another gym to like buy a day pass for,
Hmm.
to like go there for a bit while our gym was shut. And I just happened to look out of my window, which is literally here, and realised that there is a gym directly across the road called AFK Gym.
Oh wow.
And I'd never noticed it before. Yeah, because like the area that I live in is like a lot of businesses go
Mm.
bust quite a lot.
Right.
Um,
Okay. Sorry, I just
and
lost the one
like
camera there for a second, so I'm coming back. Nope. Okay.
no,
You carry on. I'm going to switch to you. Yep.
yeah, no problem. A lot of businesses go bust a lot, so they like
Mm.
change over quite a lot. So I hadn't noticed that that business had changed. But then I realized it was a gym. So I just like randomly walked in one day and ended up meeting Kate, my coach, and was like, "Oh, do you guys do day passes?" And she was like, "No, it's not that kind of gym." And I was like, "Okay, well, what kind of gym is it then?" And she was like, "Oh, it's a powerlifting gym." And I
Right.
was like, I have no idea what that is. Like I was like the rest of the general population. Like I thought powerlifting was like Olympic lifting or like bodybuilding or what.
Yep. 100%.
So me and Kate got chatting, and she spent about 2 hours explaining to me what powerlifting is
Mm.
and what they do there and that kind of stuff. Yeah, I don't think she was too interested in taking on another client, to be honest. But I'm very good at talking, so quite a while. And then
Right.
eventually she was like, "Oh, do you want to come back for a trial, and we'll
Yay.
like see how you do."
Right.
So I did, and yeah, I've been there ever since.
Sure. That's awesome. But now, so starting powerlifting is one thing. Ending up coming to Commonwealth is another thing. So what was that journey in between like?
Um, Crazy.
Mm.
Everything's happened like so fast. So I'm going to Commonwealth with the bench team.
Right.
Um, I am a bench specialist. And to be honest, like the minute Kate met me and I told her I was an ex gymnast and everything, she was like, "You're gonna have a big bench," and I was like, "How do you know? Like I have no upper body." But she was just like, "I know."
Right.
So yeah, started training, and at first I was like, "Yeah, I really don't think I want to compete. I'm not really interested in that. I've done it before, and
Mm, mm.
you know, obviously with the bullying and how intense that was, I was like, I don't want to be in that situation again." Um, and then
So
because I
just to
started in
touch,
January,
can we touch on that point? Because with the bullying, as you said, it can be parent supported bullying, right?
yeah, yeah, 100%.
Mm,
Because in diving, like, obviously they have like the single category, and then you have
mm,
synchro categories. So in training, they'll like pair you up with another team member that's about the same height and build as you, and
right.
they basically put you together and say like bond and learn how each other dives so that you
Mm,
can match perfectly. And they'll have you training together all the time. And the girl that I was paired with was just really horrible.
oh,
And so were her parents as well. They weren't very nice to my parents, and they sort of like encouraged her to be mean to me to try and take me down a peg, essentially,
right.
because we were all sort of like neck and neck in the rankings kind of thing. Um, so yeah, I think there can be that side to competing. To me, that's not sportsmanship. Um, like it's unfortunate that that side of it does exist, but I think sometimes competing can bring out the worst in people.
Mm,
Um, I'm sort of the opinion that if that's what it brings out of you, then you probably shouldn't put yourself in that situation. You should probably like, go and see a sports psychologist before
yeah.
you
Before
carry on
you, yeah,
competing.
absolutely.
Um, but yeah, so that was the situation. So yeah, in terms of powerlifting, I was like, yeah, I was just scared to be in that situation again.
Hmm.
So I just trained with Kate for like about 6 months, and then the annual, like our regional novice competition was coming up in August last year. And Kate was like, I think you should enter. Like, I think you would enjoy it. It's a really nice environment. Everyone's lovely. It's very relaxed kind of thing. So I was like, okay, like,
Mm.
we'll give it a go.
'Cause you were trusting
And
your coach at this time, right? You spent enough time
yeah,
together to build that trust.
definitely. Like, it's really weird. Like, me and Kate find that we're very similar in a lot of ways. And even though I've not known her as long as a lot of people in my life, I trust that woman with my life. Genuinely, like,
Yeah.
ugh, she's gonna laugh so hard if she's watching this right now. But the woman is always right. It begrudges me to say it, but she is
Ooh.
always right.
Okay. It's a big thing to say about your coach.
She is. I'll hold my hands up.
Mm-mm.
So yeah, I think she sort of knew that that competitive sort of edge to my personality was there, and that it just needed like coaxing out.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, we set some goals, some very, very basic goals. I think my squat was at like 100 kilos then, and the goal was to bench 60, I think, and I think my deadlift matched my squat at the time. I think that was like 100 kilos as well. um, so yeah, I went to my first novice, and I wasn't on my own as well. Christy, that you interviewed the other day,
Hmm.
um, she was there as well,
Okay.
and we sort of like went in it together, and it was really nice, and we could sort of lean on each other, and yeah, we had a great time. And I think it was at the novice last year that I ended up, I think that's where I qualified for the English bench championships, because I think the qualifier was 60 kilos, which I hit.
Okay, sure.
Um, at the time, I was competing in the under 63 category. That's what I qualified in. Obviously, we've knocked down a few weight categories since then. Um,
We
so
don't want to. We don't want to see a 4 in your weight category. Okay.
yeah, no, that will not be happening. I can guarantee you that. Um, but yeah, so then after that, I did the we did a quiet series at our gym this January, just gone.
Mm-hmm.
And that the goal for that was to qualify for All England, British Bench, British Open, and I hit all of those goals at that competition, which was insane. I think I like pulled. I can't remember how big the PB was, but I on my last deadlift, Kate was like, "Okay, you need to pull this to hit the qualifier for British Open." So we just threw it on the bar, and I was
Mm.
like, "Hey, like I'll see if I can do it." It went so amazing, so qualified.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
All right, and one of these as well. Yeah, it's better.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Mm.
Yeah, and then it's just been a whirlwind from there. It's been like the longest season ever. I've like my season started in January and it doesn't end until like the back end of
Mm-hmm.
November this year. And I've done British
Sure.
bench, English bench, All England, now Commonwealth. Yeah, it's just been crazy.
That's phenomenal. Quite a year. So let's chat a little bit about what powerlifting means to you. And I think you have quite a unique insight from being involved in an Olympic sport previously and that kind of community and environment, coming over to
Mm,
powerlifting, which I think is polar opposite. So, what
yeah.
makes powerlifting so special to you? And I know there are a couple of things that you wanted to chat about as well. So, we can go into that from this.
Yeah, I think the main thing that like really made me fall in love with it was like how strong I felt, not just physically but also
Mm.
mentally. Um like I think past experiences that I've had in my life, like, you know, around sexual harassment and
Mm-hmm.
assault. Sorry if I need to like
No,
provide a
that's
trigger
fine.
warning for
Yeah.
that. But that sort of stuff, and just like really struggling with your mental health. And I think just before I started powerlifting, like I'd gone through a horrible breakup with this person that was quite a bit older than me and quite abusive. And I think at the time I just felt like so small, like
Mm-hmm.
so weak, and just sort of
Sure.
like beaten down. Um, And then when I started lifting, because I feel like with the newbie gains as well, whenever you start out, you're like, oh wow, like I didn't think I could lift that.
Yeah.
And then like every time you lift something that you didn't think you could lift, like you surprise yourself. It's like you've overcome another hurdle. And it's like, okay, well, if I can do that, then maybe I can do this.
Mm.
And you just keep going and going and going. But I think as well when you're doing that in the gym, it reinforces that like neurological link, that thought
Mm-hmm.
process in the mind outside of the gym as well. And you start taking bigger steps in terms of like, you know, oh, I didn't think I could have that conversation. I thought it would be too hard, but
Mm-hmm.
actually, if I can do all of these other things, then I can do this as well. And, you know, you start taking little baby steps and then you start coming on like leaps and bounds. And before you know it, like one day you wake up and you're like, oh my God, my life is completely different. Like, when did this happen? Um, and that's what sort of like made me fall in love with it. Like, just how empowered I felt and good about myself
Mm.
and surprised at my own strength as well.
You start to realize there's the physical strength development that we get from moving the weights over a period
Mm,
of time, but there's a
mm,
mental strength that we get from being under the weight in that moment where
yeah,
you have no choice, you have no options. You're
yeah,
not going to get it, you have to get it. And
yeah,
then moving a weight that you maybe at the beginning genuinely believed you couldn't do because you've never done
mm,
it before, and then you bring that through and you complete the lift, and that you can then start to apply to every area of your life. And as you said, you do subconsciously, it's there all the time. And
yeah,
speaking of and again, with the trigger warning for anyone listening, uh, talking about abuse, and I think with male abuse survivors, we tend to go into martial arts, boxing, that type of stuff, like nobody's going to hurt me. Because for me, as a little child, physically completely unable to deal with the strength of the adults that
yeah,
were hurting me.
yeah,
You can't do anything about it. So you then want to make yourself as scary and as dangerous as possible.
yeah.
Not
I
all.
think
No,
that's
sorry. Yep.
sorry.
No, no.
That's
Go on.
like an interesting point as well because so like as I told you before we started this call,
Mm,
I'm autistic and I have ADHD and also probably some sort of like personality disorder thrown in there for good measure. But I wasn't diagnosed until like last year, and I've struggled with my mental health for my whole life, and especially in school, like secondary school.
mm-hmm,
I've talked about this with like people at our gym before, but I think because I knew that like I was a little bit different and I didn't always fit in and sometimes I missed social cues,
mm,
but I am very high masking. I think if you were to just look at me without really knowing me, you wouldn't suspect that I wasn't neurotypical in a way.
mm-hmm,
So like going through school, I was just, I mean, obviously, like, I was adamant that I was not going to be bullied again. And like, kids in school are mean. So I sort of like created this personality, this like alter ego, where I was like, if I can't stop people talking about me or thinking that I'm weird, I'm going to make myself so scary to other people that they are terrified to ever say that to me
mm-hmm.
or,
Yeah.
you know, like think that they can bully me. So yeah, I wasn't a very nice person in secondary school. I was quite harsh and blunt and quite intimidating is a word that people used a lot when I was
Mm-hmm,
like that. Um and I think that is one of the things that we use to mask our own insecurities and to keep ourselves safe. And it
it's,
wasn't
yeah.
until like well into being an adult that I learned you don't have to act like that anymore. Like you're safe.
Yeah. It's our suit of armor that we put on in order
Mm,
to we believe we need that so that we can survive interacting
mm,
with people. I mean, you talk about social cues. It's like, what's a social cue? And I mean that legitimately. Like, you have to relearn that and how people act. So we put that on. For me, it was humor, and
mm,
then I pushed it so far though that no one would ever take me seriously. And then it's like, well, why is no one ever taking me seriously? And that you sort of have
yeah,
to back up with that. And then after school, it was, martial arts and fighting and beard and shaved head and getting as big as possible. And that's not really who you are, because then no one comes close.
yeah, yeah,
And
exactly.
yeah.
And one
So,
of the things that I've sort of like had to uh, unlearn, and this has only really happened like since my diagnosis. Like when I got diagnosed, it was like, oh, like all of this makes sense now. Like that's what's been going on with me. Like I
mm,
just thought I was insane. Um
mm.
and like
No,
I find
I
myself,
understand that completely.
yeah, like I find myself a lot more, I allow myself to be more childish than I actually was as a child.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I allow myself to feel my emotions more, and I allow myself to do more childish stuff, like playing games or like, I don't
Yeah.
know, like coloring in or whatever, like just
Mm,
doing stuff that is enjoyable, like really
yeah.
simple little things, because you're allowed to do that. You don't always have to have this hard front
No.
on all the time.
Doing things that are nurturing for you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
definitely.
it's a way of showing love. And I think a diagnosis is a wonderful thing because then you can
Mm,
go, oh, wait a minute. So there isn't anything wrong with me. This is just who I am, And for me, I've been sober for nearly 18 years. And I remember sitting in the room with the therapist, Dan Wolf, and Dan said to me, we chatted for an hour. I mean, it was obvious. I mean, I stank like the back of a bar fridge. I was 50 kilos heavier. I think I've got one of those photos up here somewhere. Hang on. Can I scare you for a second? Check this out.
yeah,
How's
go
that?
for it.
How's that guy?
Wow.
So there was, yeah.
Completely
Oh,
different
so, oh,
mindset.
well, listen, are you ready? We'll go back to that again. Don't scream, huh? Yeah, you know, which
That
which
is a
one's
completely
which one's
different
your
man.
favorite? Huh? Yeah, and like that was 18 years ago. But and Dan said to me, "Okay, Nick, you're an alcoholic. You start the program on Monday," and I was like,
Mhm.
"Oh, thank
Mm.
God that I'm an alcoholic. Okay, now there's a path." As opposed
Yeah.
to I'm insane, I'm broken, I'm rubbish, I'm bad. I'm just a mix up of broken parts that don't fit together.
Yeah. No, 100%. That is very much the way that I felt. Like, I had been diagnosed with depression and anxiety when I was about
Mm,
7 years old. How, I mean, this one still baffles me. How a GP can diagnose a 7-year-old with
mm,
depression and anxiety and not look into that any further
sure.
is baffling
Yeah.
to me. That's by the by. That's in the
Mm,
past. Um, but yeah, it started from being like very, very young. And then, like, obviously, what came with this hard persona as well in secondary school was things that you've described as well, which often, as you know, like comes along with ADHD, addictive personality.
mm-hmm.
I started smoking at 12. I started drinking when I was about 12. I started doing
Don't worry, I
hard
started
drugs.
I started drinking when I was 9. You're an amateur. So,
You got a good few years on me.
yeah, yeah,
But yeah, like
sure.
it very much a similar
Mm,
story, and I think Estelle from my team that you interviewed as well, she has a very
mm-hmm.
similar story. I've
Yeah.
heard it from a lot of people that end up in powerlifting, but yeah, like started doing hard drugs at 15,
Yeah.
um, and ended up developing drug induced psychosis by the time I was like 18. I'm also sober. I've been sober 3 years, so nowhere near as long as you. But
To say that it does 3 years or 18 years doesn't matter. Today is all that counts. Today's the only thing
yeah,
that matters. Time we wake up in the morning till the time we go to bed and put our head on that pillow, that's all that matters. The rest is just
yeah,
experience and practice.
yeah,
That's very cool.
exactly. But
Sure.
yeah, it seems to be a running theme with people like
Yeah.
us.
You spoke about being diagnosed at 7 and
Yeah,
then having it left. And I think this is the problem sort of growing up. For me in particular, I felt everything was perfect except me. So the medical
yeah,
profession was perfect, the schools were perfect. I didn't allow anything to have a fault because I
mm,
believed I was at fault. So if the doctor had the diagnosis, but there was no follow up, it was because I was so bad that
mm,
there was nothing that could be done. But
yeah,
with that, the reality is the system's broken, the systems are not perfect. The only thing really that are perfect are us. and we just need to be perfectly who we are. And that's a lifetime journey that we evolve and learn who we are. So, and again, coming back to this incredible sport and why I do this, why I'm so passionate about it, is it's a way to discover who you are. It's you in that bar, you in that weight. It's perfect, beautiful honesty. And I think in recovery, honesty is number one, and that's emet, which is what I called the gym and we call the businesses. Emet is Hebrew for truth, because it's about finding truth in everything that we do and living in truth, because it's much simpler. And that's when you're
Yeah.
with that bar, the bar knows if you got your sleep, if you got your nutrition, if you got your hydration. If the bar can teach you if something's on your mind that you don't even realize, and you
Oh
hang
yeah.
on a second. Yeah,
Every single time, like I will like get under the bar, start doing squats, and like get to my top set and fail something, and I'll be like, "What? What the
mm,
hell? Like, what's going on?" The next day, I'm ill, or like,
yeah. Oh,
period or something like that, and it's like, oh, it was trying to tell me.
yeah. No, there's no greater indicator that I'm going to be sick than a deadlift. It's like, what the hell was that?
Oh,
It's like, oh no, I'm going home to bed, guys. Good night. Cheers. Yeah. So we've chatted about some of the guys from your gym, from your team, your incredible coach. Like, I was so honored to meet her at Sun City, and Violet as well, and just absolutely wonderful. Like, I think the sort of kindred spirits can recognize one another, and just her strength is incredible. There's something very special about your gym. I mean, in the community in general, for sure, but in your gym, it's a really wonderful place.
I would definitely agree with that. I like we always say like we're such a mishmash of people that have come
Mm,
together, but there's always some sort of like common thread between all of us. Like we're all a little bit quirky in our own way, but that's what's brought us together. It's like we sensed the vibe and we just found each other. Do you know
yeah,
what I mean?
absolutely. I think quirkiness is permission, giving yourself permission to be who you are, or it's an
Yeah.
indicator that you've given yourself permission to be who you are.
Yeah.
So,
100%.
uh,
I agree with that.
what are the things that you love most about powerlifting, and what are some of the things that drive you mad?
Some of the things I love most about powerlifting. Um, this is going to sound like so boring, but one of the
It's okay.
things that I love most about powerlifting is the routine.
Mm,
Um,
sure.
Before I was diagnosed with autism, like I had my own little routines. I didn't really recognize that I did them. I didn't really even realize that what I was doing was unusual until me and my boyfriend moved in together and he was like, "You have a really odd way of doing things."
Hang on, I have
Like
to
a
give
very
him a yeah. Yeah. Got to give him a round of applause for that. Yep.
yeah, yeah, I have a very particular way of doing things and I like things to be done in a
Mm.
certain way. So
But that's
when I
because you
started,
feel sorry to interrupt. That's because you feel safe within it, and you realize
yeah,
the routine. Our minds are racing all the time, nonstop, like overthinking about everything, and that's the anxiety and living with that. And routine, it minimizes the amount we have to think, makes us
yeah.
feel calmer and safer. So they're wonderful things.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I plan out what I'm gonna eat the day before,
Mm.
because otherwise I forget to eat or like I don't get my nutrition in properly. So like if I've planned it out already, I know what I'm gonna have and I can just grab it. Like it's
Hmm.
like if I always talk about spoon theory. Like if I have 10 spoons for the day, I don't want to use one of my spoons on deciding what I'm going to eat and what time I'm going to eat it. Like that's a very useless thing to expend that energy on. And unfortunately, with people with autism and ADHD, like that is actually something we have to expend energy on. um, So yeah, I think that is one of my favorite things. I didn't realize how
Mm,
badly I needed the routine
mm,
until I got into it. And it reminded me of doing diving when I was younger, and obviously I didn't really recognize it at the time because I was only like 7, 8 years old. But my mum clearly encouraged me to do that because it gave me a very strict routine as well, and she could see how good that
mhm,
was
mm.
for me. So I think that's one of my favorite things. Things that I don't like.
Not necessarily don't like that drive you mad, but like for example, any training routine that starts with 10 by.
Yeah, that's true. Anything more than 5 reps, I'm
Yes.
like, oh my god, Kate is trying
Yeah,
to kill me.
yeah.
What is going on?
Attention coaches, important community announcement. Whether you say it's good for us
Yeah,
or not, no.
that's definitely.
Okay, cool. Yep. Anything else?
um, I think weight categories are an interesting one because I've never been someone that has really like thought about my weight before. It's just never really I've never really been bothered about
Mm,
how much I weigh or don't weigh, apart from when I was diving and I was still in primary school, and I used to get bullied for like people used to ask me if I was anorexic. Obviously I wasn't anorexic. I was
mm,
just had a
mm.
very, very low body fat percentage compared to the average 7 year old, and it looked weird. Um,
Yeah, fair enough.
um but yeah, it's never really been something that's occupied time in my brain.
Mm.
So I think something that maybe bothers me slightly is that is something that now occupies a space in my brain, making weight category
Mm.
and, the right nutrition and just keeping an eye on it kind of thing, making sure I'm not like randomly ballooning up without realizing. Um, Mainly just because like I could use that space in my brain for something else.
So
Um,
I was going to, yeah, I understand exactly what you're saying because the weight on the bar is more linear, it's more controlled, it's less mental energy to do. Nutrition is a
yeah,
lot more mental energy. You got to be on it all the time. Things that affect you out of the blue. We don't like out of the blue. I think that's the big
yeah.
thing. So yeah. What about like moving up to like allowing 4 attempts?
I don't even know if I could get through a 3 lift if we had 4 attempts for everything. I think three is good. Three is a
Okay.
good middle ground.
Three is a good middle ground. Yeah. So
Yeah,
for me, the thing that drives me most mad in the sport, and I do understand it completely, and I love the athletes, but when you're working as a spotter and loader, and so I'm very fortunate to be part of the South African team. We've been invited overseas. We've done a couple of championships in Hong Kong, and it's a blast. And we had a 6 hour session last year loaded. The session was done. They allocated 6 hours. We were done in 3 hours and 47 minutes because of the speed of the turnaround of the rack. We were so good, like proper. And then, like, you're moving, and then the deadlifters want to kneel and they want to kiss and they want to sit. It's like, oi, get out of the way. I've got to load the bar. And then you're like, I know they want their moment in the sun and we got to give it to them. But, we're chasing a record here. We got to move.
yeah.
Yeah.
To be fair, one of my favorite, I actually volunteered at a competition yesterday.
Mm.
It was a regional one that a couple of people at our gym entered. But one of my favorite things to do at competitions is spot and load on
Yeah.
platform. I
The
don't know
best.
why. I just love it. It's just fast paced, and you're like
Mm-hmm.
involved with everyone. It feels like you're like right there in the moment with
Yep.
someone when they've just hit a big PB. I love it.
You see them coming up in the squat and they're fighting and like you can see everything that's happening in their eyes and on their face. You're just like up, 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 up. And it's a
Yeah.
very, yeah, it's that's my bet. That and being TC, those are the two things I love, because I'm a little bit different as TC. I'm watching the tunnel and I'm talking to the athletes like, come on, high fives, fist pumps, let's go. Give me a no louder one, just to make it a bit of fun. And it's a blast. It's a very special sport.
Yeah. And I think it can really make a difference to someone's competition as well.
Hmm.
Like to feel supported, not
Yeah,
just by handler or their coach or whoever they've brought, but the people actually running the competition as well. It makes so much difference.
yeah,
It really makes
absolutely.
a positive experience in the sport.
Yeah, and this, I think the role of TC is huge, because you're the last official sort of that is communicating other than the commands before they hit the referees, and you
Oh
really want to
yeah.
be there to encourage and uplift, and just you know what they're going through, and you want them just to be able to focus and hit that, like, come on, and
Yeah.
we've got this.
The last thing that someone
Mm,
says to you just before you step on platform is so important.
yeah,
Like it could make or break you. Sometimes it's an earworm that gets in your head.
yeah.
So yeah, it's nice to be able to support people in that way. And also shout out to all the YNE volunteers and British powerlifting.
We absolutely have to do that for sure. So now you're traveling with these guys. What are you expecting from your home gym crew? Not even the team. Just chat about the crew that's coming down.
Um, I am
How much
expecting to
fun
have
are
a
you
good time.
going to have?
A lot of fun, I hope.
Mm,
I'm I'm terrified though, because like one of the areas where autism really affects me is I don't like change. So
mm-hmm,
I really struggle to travel to new places, especially if I've not been there before. Um because it's not my normal routine,
mm.
and I just I find it really anxiety inducing, especially getting on a plane because planes are so loud, and
And
there's like
and
so many people.
yeah, and they don't. So for me, with my sobriety, if I didn't like an environment, because it's particularly early on, before I'd really developed life skills to deal with it, I can't drink, so I can't. So I'm
Mm,
present, and if it's a smooth
mm.
flight, great. If it's bumpy, then I would leave the environment I was uncomfortable in. They won't let you on a plane for some reason. They're very selfish. They don't want you opening the door and stepping out for a minute, just till the turbulence calms down. It's mad. So,
I'm so glad
mm,
I'm not on my own with this, because that
no,
is the scariest thing for me being in a plane. I don't know
yeah,
why, because I'm not a claustrophobic person, but the fact that I can't just leave if I'm
yes,
finding it stressful really sends me. That's like the worst thing for me. But in terms of the crew that we're going with and the team, like obviously it was nice going to the comp yesterday because I got to chat with a couple of people that aren't from our gym, but I know them through powerlifting, and they're
mm-hmm,
coming on Team England and everything. And I think for me, it's just really important to make sure that there are people there that make me feel safe, that I feel comfortable around, people
mm,
that I know that if I was in an absolute crisis, I could go to, and they would be able to help. They would be able to calm me down. And the people that we're going with, there is definitely a few people that I feel comfortable to do
mm-hmm,
that with. So I do feel like I'm in good hands, and that's helping with the anxiety a little bit. I mean, I'm sure like once I actually get on the plane and like we get to South Africa, I'll be absolutely fine. I'll be like, cool,
yeah,
hard parts over. Like,
yeah,
let's do the comp. Let's enjoy the week after that, just sunbathing and like watching other people lift and having a good time.
and
So
having
I'm
a
really
blast.
excited for that.
Uh,
It's just the initial unknown of
yes.
what that process entails.
So I think if I can help with that, first off, for me, because I struggle to read, the moment turbulence starts, I start to read stuff. I read a book of Psalms, which is written sort of in Old English, so it's really difficult to read, and that kind of occupies my brain and my focus as much as possible. So if that
Yeah.
can help. So the thing is this, like South Africa is really cool. It's like Johannesburg International, OR Tambo Airport. I'm old. I called it Jan Smuts. It hasn't been that for 30 years. it's a small airport. Like you land, you walk straight out to customs. You go. I mean, you get off the plane. You go down an escalator. You go through passport control. The baggage is right there. You keep walking in that same direction. You go past customs. You go through a door, and that's the greeting hall. And you'll see the guy there with the signage waiting for you guys. So it's just go straight because I mean, I remember going to Cologne to do a workshop there a couple of years ago. It was my first time traveling internationally from being sober. And it was like terrifying and how to use a train in Europe. And why does my number on the ticket not match the number of the train? And how do I know which cart to get in? This thing's so long. What do you even call these carriages? Okay. It's like all of that terrifying stuff. But so South Africa, it's there. Then you're going to walk to the minibus, the combi, and you're going to go through to Sun City and you're going to see a bit of Johannesburg and you're going to see some of the bush. The great thing about Sun City is it's a giant resort in the bush. So it's very Africa, but it's all because it's a casino, the security is exceptional. So if you can imagine your house and garden just got much, much bigger. And you can walk, and it's also all in a straight line. So even though it doesn't feel like it, you got the venue at the bottom, then you got the Cascades, the Soho, the Cabanas, the Soho, the Cascades, the Entertainment Center, and the Palace. So it's all there, and you can walk to it on the front, on the road where everyone parks, or you can walk on the garden side through the beautiful gardens and stuff. It's perfect. So it's safe and it's serene. It's a wonderful place to actually come and just relax. Really, really cool. The venue is epic. It's massive. There's going to be two platforms because we're running Commonwealth and World Masters at the same time. So it means a lot more cheering, a lot more noise. There are 14 warm up platforms,
Wow.
which is epic. Then, in addition to that, there are 4 training platforms. So there's a gym on its own that you can train in. That's not meaning you're going to have to borrow someone's warm up platform or vice versa. So that's a lot of fun. All of
Yeah.
the South Africans are there to talk to if you're feeling stressed, if you're feeling down. I'm doing the announce. Oh, excuse, itchy nose. I'm doing the announcing from Sunday through to Friday, so I'll be there. My team will be there. Like it's just
Oh,
going to be
amazing. I could say
yeah.
hi.
Yeah, it's two rights, absolutely. And then it just there's so much fun. And then I mean, I'm trying to get someone on from Sun City. We wanted someone on from Friday, but if I don't get anyone on, I'm going to put a video together on what to expect just from some of the photos that I've taken and some of the videos. I'll post pics of the venue. So I might even, if I can, drive out there. It's a lovely 2-hour drive. Do a drive-in video, sort of drive around, show you guys what it looks like coming in, what to expect. It's really lovely. It's a beautiful, beautiful place.
That would actually be amazing.
Mm,
I mean, not just from like an accessibility standpoint, but
yeah,
also like in general. I say this all the time, like reasonable adjustments made for neurodivergent people
yeah,
nearly always benefit neurotypical people as well. Like they're not just for
absolutely.
us. It just
Yeah,
makes life easier for everyone.
for everybody, absolutely. And it's like your taxi so in South Africa we call the vans, the minibuses, we call them taxis. So the taxi ride, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be through all of this nature. You're going to turn off the main road. You'll see a big sign. Then you're sort of like quite rural Africa, and you turn off the main road, and suddenly rolling luscious lawns and big booms and security to come through. You come through that and you go past the parking, and as you drive in, then you've got the venue on your right, and you've got a beautiful dam at the main hotel and at the cabanas. So I mean, there's paragliding, there's water skiing, there's the water park which is open, there's the casino. You can just walk around and have an absolute blast. And the cool thing is, with like most of the internationals, all of the athletes are wearing their kit from around the world. So it's easy to spot a power lifter and just go up and say hi, how are you? So, but I think I'm definitely wanting to take a drive out there and do a little bit of a tour if I can't get anyone from Sun City on, because
Yeah, that would
knowing where
be
you're going, it's a huge thing to like be
yeah,
back.
it really makes a difference. Like I've said to everyone, I if I'm like going somewhere new,
Mm,
if I can like go on Google and find a floor plan or
Yeah.
pictures of the inside of a building or whatever, I'll just like look at them all and study them all just so I know where everything is, and it just makes me feel better. It makes me feel
Mm.
less anxious.
Yeah, and I think the familiarity is the same with a venue as it is with people. We feel
Yeah.
safer around people we know, and it's the same for a venue or a location or a pool. Yeah, and
Yeah,
the
exactly.
pools are massive, so they're a lot of fun. And everyone's moaning about the cold water except me and the Canadians. But no, the water's going to be nice and warm because it's summer. So no, it's going to be fantastic. It just you're gonna have a wonderful, wonderful time. The food's pretty reasonable price wise. There are a couple of fun venues to go and hang out in. And for me, what I love, because also not drinking in the evenings, there's a fantastic Greek restaurant by the Cascade swimming pool. You literally walk over a bridge by the pool, going to the restaurant. You can sit over the pool and then go up to the deck on the hotel and just sit out in the evening air. It's fresh, it's relaxing. You look over the gardens and you look over the golf course up at the 10,000 stars that you can see. And you can just have relax. The only freaking problem with this place, they don't have decaf coffee. So hopefully they're going to correct that. Otherwise, I'm bringing a ton of decaf pods with me. I have my Nespresso machine with me. So if you need your Nespressos, you come and get a shot of coffee quickly. So it'll be a lot of fun, and we'll make taking my machine with and saying to the bar staff, plug it in, make me a decaf, please. But it's so wonderful to relax. The gardens at the Cascades are magnificent. There's a swinging bridge, which is terrifying and so much fun as well. So, like a big rope bridge, and it's the most wonderful
Oh,
place to be. It's I've never experienced an international venue like this because it's out in the bush. It's in the Pilanesberg Game Reserve. There's a wonderful South African lifter, Nicole Hassel, and she's a vet and she's very involved with the Pilanesberg Game Reserve guys. You can book your game tour there, and there's so much fun. It's just to relax in the evening, like if you want some quiet time, and it's so nice to be there. You don't even need to put your headphones on. You can just walk around and hear the bush, and you just basically walk along the gardens. There's security everywhere, so it's safe. You're not going to get attacked by anything from the game reserve, and it's an absolute blast. So it's a very, very special place to be, and
this
it's a lot of fun.
this has got me so excited, genuinely.
Yeah,
Like that was yeah, that was just really nice to hear. Yeah, I can't wait.
yeah,
I am genuinely like really, really excited, and I do think I'm gonna have a really good time. But it's just all the other things as well, all
yeah.
the unknowns.
You,
We'll get through them. We're taking it one day at a time.
for sure. It's like just like we need to adapt ourselves to how the world operates around us as best. Or sorry, we need to equip ourselves as best we can, and that can be knowledge and info, and like you as well. Like I go on, if I'm going to a location, I Google the routes, so I know if the Uber driver is taking advantage of me, and these kind of things. And going back to a place for the second time is absolutely wonderful, and Sun City is going to feel very familiar very quickly. um, you know, and I've been going there with my with my dad, probably since it was built in 1978, I think, or 71. So it's been there for forever.
Oh, that's
So
beautiful.
it's been a big part of my childhood growing up there. So it is such a blast. Like I've got a photograph with my dad and I with life jackets on, and they had these little motor boats to go around, and we thought we were going so fast. And, because it was the 70s, my hair was this big, and these are the these are the fun things. It's a lot of fun. There's a really nice restaurant next to the venue as well, which is quite African style. So great pizza, great burgers, a lot of fun. But the venue is so great to hang out in as well. There's a food deck. So maybe it's a giant tent like that, like a dome tent. So you walk in,
Yeah,
your doping office is on the right, your bathrooms are on the right, and you go through another set of glass doors and you walk into this giant tent. So the roof of the tent is blacked out with fabric, but it's got all of these big downlights, like a
yeah,
traditional kind of warehouse. And then on your left is the referees' rooms, and where you go and get any of your official work done. and then you walk in, you got the seats, and then you got the platforms in front of you, left and right, and then out to your right, you've got a glass door where you can go up and sit on the deck, and they've got typical sort of bar tables, outdoor tables where you can sit and get something to eat and just relax and have a bit of fresh air, and then come back, and then on the right is going to be the training area, and then in the back's the warm-up area. Nice tunnel, like everything's really well done, big screens. We're going to have great audio. There's going to be great music. One of our businesses, we produce albums that we can play on international comps without having any YouTube problems. So we've released a couple of new albums. It's called Emmett Beats. So it's up on Spotify and Apple Music if you want to go and listen to that. It's really cool, nice, relaxing, chill music. The Moroccans and the Algerians absolutely love it at Africa Champs. It's the best. So yeah, it's really such a nice venue. And what's so cool is there's shuttles that are running up and down all the time that you can just hop on. You go to the bus stop, wait. If the shuttle's going that way, you know where you're going. If it's going up, you know the other way, then you know where you're going. You can grab a shuttle, but
Yeah.
most people walk. They're just such a nice, relaxing downhill walk to the venue. Get your training done. Come and support people when you're ready to lift. Yeah, it's an absolute
Yeah.
blast. And it's so
Yeah.
big and not cramped and just open air, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. It's giving me sort of like, I don't know if you have heard of Centre Parks. I think that's a very British thing.
Mm.
But that kind of vibe, sort of like a holiday village kind of thing. Like
100,
it's a
yeah,
really
correct.
enclosed
That's
community vibe.
that's exactly what. So if your old 1950s and 60s seaside caravan and kids parks where
Yes.
everything's closed off, and the kids find different kids and they form groups of friends and they run off on their own, and the parents don't know or care where they are, and then everyone's right. That's exactly what Sun City is like.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's really, really cool. And you're safe from the airport to the to Sun City itself. Staying in
Yeah.
Sun City is a good idea. There's like a supermarket outside, but just be aware that, because it's a touristy area, people might be borrowing your mobile phone and stuff. So just keep your eyes open. If you stay in the Sun City compound, you're 100% safe.
Yeah.
So,
Amazing.
yeah. We actually had a couple of lifters a year or two ago. They nicked one of their mobile phones, so that we all went back and they got the phone back. So they'd taken the SIM card out, which was quite frustrating. But yeah, so it's a very, very special place, and I think the sense I get, it's a place that you will always want to come back to.
I reckon so. Yeah.
So
Hopefully I get invited back after
yeah, yeah,
this.
yeah. No, you absolutely will, 100% for sure. So I think just one last question. I think we could chat for hours, but
Oh
I
yeah.
know you've also got time. I mean that you got limited time. So why should someone get involved in powerlifting? It's a standard question that I want to ask. And by the way, your cat's been staring at me the whole interview, the whole
this
conversation.
this is Desmond.
Okay. Hello,
This
Desmond.
isn't. I mean, I have a cat that looks exactly like this.
Okay.
So it's his pup. Um.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. People should get into powerlifting if they have always sort of felt like a bit of an outsider, a bit different to other people, and want to find a community of people that genuinely understand them
Hmm.
and accept them however they present or however they might be. I have done a lot of sports and I have never been part of a sport that has this kind of sense of community and everyone knows each other and it's so easy to make friends just by having this one thing in common with someone else, people that you never would have met before, people in like different countries. Yeah. um
Sure.
I've just never. I have a lot of friends from school that I've been friends with for quite a while, but I've never met a group of people that I've become that good friends with so quickly just because I felt like I fitted in
Yeah.
instantly. Um, and I think that's the main draw for a lot of people. Like, obviously, being strong is cool.
Yeah.
Um, and,
So being
being
stronger is cool. Being strong is cool, but being stronger is cooler.
exactly,
Yeah.
and that is the official tagline.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to get
Yeah,
some
like
t-shirts made. Yeah.
I think we should. I think people would buy them.
Absolutely.
But yeah, being strong is cool, and like getting fitter and taking care of your health is cool, but having a community around you that just supports you no matter what and makes you feel good about yourself and is always there is just second to none.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So well put. Absolutely. And I think even, people that feel they fit in, feel they're part of everything, don't really stress. When they come into powerlifting, they also find that it's a level of community and a level of connection that they may not even have realized existed anywhere. And that's
Yeah.
what's so special about it. And I think that's why we do this. That's why I'm so passionate about it because, you know, sure, growing up. So for me, primary school, being the kid that couldn't make friends with anyone, that couldn't fit in, that didn't know how to talk to people, that every time I opened my mouth or every time I did something alienated me more because I had no
Mm,
clue what was going on.
mm,
It, I understand what lonely feels like on a level that unless you've experienced it, being lonely in a crowded room, being lonely at a family function, being lonely
yeah.
with, it's this is a wonderful, safe place to be.
Is on that as well, like I as a child I always felt like I was always told that I was too much.
Mm-hmm.
Like I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
too
yeah,
loud, too
yeah.
energetic, too rough, too talkative, like constantly, not just
Mm-mm,
by like my parents and adults, but by like other kids that were my friends as well. Like you're playing too hard. Why are you like that?
mm-mm,
Um, and I've never been made to feel like that in powerlifting, that I was too much of anything.
mm-hmm. Sure.
I feel like I'm exactly the right amount of whatever
Yeah,
I'm supposed to be.
yeah.
But yeah.
You are who you are. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think people who say that to kids, whether from a loving point of view or from another point of view, don't understand that for many of us, we don't know how to tone down. The only thing we know how to do is the exact opposite extreme, the polar extreme. So we're too loud to now being 100% quiet and going and sitting in a corner. And then they
Yeah.
come to you, what's wrong with you? Can't you just be a little bit quieter? Why do you have to come and do this? Why do you have to go
Yeah.
and sit in the corner and be? Because we don't know how to be any other way.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I really identify with that.
yeah. But when you got the bar on, oh, there's never too much. Yeah,
Never too much. Different story.
that's it. Yeah, or unless you're missing a lift, and then you go, it could have been a little bit more.
The classic. Yeah, it was just a misgroove. I'll get it on
Yeah,
the
yeah,
next one.
yeah. They didn't get the groove, 100%. Yeah, it's like I just missed. I didn't get the groove. He said, yeah, but you're lifting raw. It's yes. So, oh,
There's
Emily,
always an excuse.
always an excuse, absolutely. And everyone looks at you, know they're going. I'm going to save that for later as well myself. So just before we go, is there anyone you'd like to say hi to? Any shout outs? Anything you'd like to mention?
Um, I'd like to say hi to everyone at my gym. Obviously, Kate and Matt, that
Hmm.
own the gym, keep the place running. Thank you so much for doing that because they work so
Yeah.
insanely hard to keep that place open for all of us. And I don't know what I would do if that gym wasn't there. So yeah, big thank you to them. And thank you to all my teammates, everyone that's come into the Commonwealth from our team, Violet, Christy, Estelle, Michelle, Liz, everyone else involved in that as well. And big shout out to
Sorry, but I love my button too much. It's too much fun. Yeah.
And big shout out to my boyfriend Alex as
Mm.
well, because I don't think it's always easy being in a relationship with someone that competes at this
Mm-hmm.
level, especially if you're not in the sport yourself. So he puts up with a lot. He's very understanding. Yeah, and thank you
He's
to my
not.
parents as
Yeah.
well.
He's not in the sport yet. Um,
He's not in the sport yet, but we are working on it. Believe
okay.
me, we are
Excellent.
working on it.
So, is he coming to South Africa?
He isn't, no.
Oh. So
To
I
be
was
honest with
wanting to
you,
sneak. I was wanting to sneak an interview with him. So, what's it like dating a powerlifter? We may have to do it.
well, so
Alex, DM us,
it's
okay?
interesting.
Just DM us, okay? Yeah.
I'll tell him. I'll tell him.
Okay, cool.
He's
Yeah.
we spend a lot of time apart because he's a musician, so he's on
Mm-hmm.
tour a lot. So
Okay.
this is my thing that I'm doing on my own. But yeah, and also quick shout out to my parents. Thank you
Mm-hmm.
for putting me into sport in the first place, because
Sure.
it's what I needed.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, I've absolutely loved it. Emily, thank you so much for your time. It's been absolutely
Thank you.
wonderful. Thank you so much for your honesty and your openness.
Thank
It's going to make a difference to people's lives listening to this. And that's the value and power of sharing our stories. And I wanted to thank you for sharing yours.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on. I've really enjoyed it.
That's awesome. We will see you in South Africa. I'm going to check the calendar because we're getting like time pressures coming. Got to make sure the live streaming is set up and everything's working and the lighting and all of this. But I want to work on getting some time to get out to Sun City, maybe do a tour video if I can't get these guys from Sun City to respond. So it'll be fun. All right. But we will see
I
you
look forward to meeting you.
Yep, likewise. And we will see you in Sun City.
Bye.
Awesome. Take care. Bye-bye. Ciao.
Bye.
Oh, I hit end a bit quick there. Sorry, guys. So that was Emily Westray. What an incredible conversation. What an amazing interview. Such courage to share her story. Sure, we're really grateful that she took the time to talk with us. She took the time to share what powerlifting meant to her. Thank you, Steve, for your kind words. We do appreciate that. Giving a big thumbs up. Sorry that I shut the interview down before you had a chance to put that up, but it'll be there in the YouTube comments as well. So thank you, Steve. We appreciate it. What an incredible young lady. Looking forward to meeting her here in South Africa and her amazing story. Such incredible stories that we're getting from the athletes that we're really, really grateful for. And this is why we do this, to share how amazing this sport is, how open and caring and just connected the community is. And it's really a place that everybody deserves to be. It's a community that everybody deserves to be part of. We really, really do. Stay tuned. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's a busy Sunday. We've got 6 interviews coming up from 3 p.m. South African time. That's GMT plus 2. I think we got 2 or 3 in Canada and then a couple back into the UK. So stay with us and we'll be back with you in about 45 minutes. Thank you for your time. Thank you for joining us. You've been listening to Coffee and Conversations with Champions, the powerlifting edition for Emmet Media. I'm your host, Nicholas Ingle, and I'll see you soon.